professional seminar. Hopefully you have some questions. Last week we had Ms. Elliott come speak to us, and today we have Ms. Kim Jackson. She's a case manager at Community Partnership for Children, and she'll be talking to us about her story and how she got to where she is today. I see there's a question.
I don't know if it was last week before that, but we had professional seminar inside the White Hall, and there's nobody take attendance, so I took a picture to prove that I was there.
Right, did you check your attendance to see that you were marked present?
No.
Please check your attendance and keep track of it. I marked everybody present that day.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes, ma'am.
I look at my grade and I have a 60, but I was here for every class.
Okay, so you should, if you look at your grade is based on attendance, and if you're marked absent and you believe that it's an error, please make an appointment to come see me. My office is in the Lemoran Nursing Building, room 205 on the second floor, and we can go over your attendance, and we'll make the corrections. Okay. Another question?
What time did they need to be there?
My office hours, I'll post them on the professional seminar webpage so that you can all see. On Monday, if you come anytime between 10 and 3 o'clock, I should be there. But again, I'll post it online so you all can see my office hours. Okay, they're also posted outside my door. All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, so remember to be listening, take your earbuds out your ears, put your phones away, turn your phones off. Let's give our guests our attention. Think of some questions that you have. We have professionals from the field that are here to speak to us about career opportunities, about internships, about what you need to do to prepare yourself. Because remember, I told you, college doesn't guarantee you a job. It gives you a degree that tells your employer the minimum salary that he or she has to pay you. But it doesn't get you the job. What gets you the job is your experience. How can you get experience when you're in college for 4 years or so, right? You got to do internships. You got to volunteer. Those things count. And networking, meeting people that are out there in the field, reaching out to them, making connections with them, letting them know what you want to do, seeing if you can get some guidance and mentorship to help you enter into the field. That's probably how most of us got to where we are today. I know that's how I got to where I am. You know, somebody reached out. I reached out to someone, allowed them to mentor me. Your mentor could be a male, it could be a female. It doesn't matter. Most of my mentors have been women. They have helped me to this day. They still mentor me. All right. Any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kim Jackson. Let's give her a round of applause.
Let me just start off by introducing myself. I'm Kim Jackson. I work with Community Partnership for Children. I've been there for a little bit over 4.5 years. Prior to me choosing this career path, a little back to my backstory, how I decided to obtain a bachelor's degree in psychology. I always wanted to be an attorney. Growing up, that was my dream of becoming an attorney. Then unfortunately, at the age of 16, right before my senior year, I got pregnant. Graduated high school on time at the age of 17. I wanted to go to NYU, but I decided not to. I decided I wanted to stay close to home, so I decided to go to the University of Central Florida. I got accepted there. Originally my major was pre-law, because I wanted to go to law school, like I said before. But then I realized during my last year in high school that some people just didn't understand, what I've been through, didn't understand how I was able to push through, and despite everything I've been through my senior year, go into college. So I decided to major in psychology, which I found was very rewarding. So therefore, I changed my major from pre-law and then majored in psychology and did a minor in pre-law. I always found law very interesting, so I wanted to make sure whatever career path I went into, I always dealt with the court system. So basically what I did was volunteer time at a youth shelter in Orlando, Florida, called the Covenant House in Central Florida. And then I also interned at the Orange County State Attorney's Office. There I was in the role of a victim advocate. They call that a criminal division, forensic psychology basically. And during that time, when I was interning there, I really enjoyed it. I was able to get a lot of knowledge. I came in contact with kids that were, sexually molested and things like that. I came in contact with victims of domestic violence, women and children, and even men, believe it or not. During that time, when I was interning, it appeared that the rate of men being abused by women went up. And while reading these reports, when I was calling victims while I was interning, I realized that a lot of kids were present during these incidents. And so therefore I was faced with the choice of having to call an abuse report because law enforcement failed to do so, but it was stated in the police report that the children were eligible for those domestic abuse incidents or even were victims of sexual abuse. And even when I used to question and ask these children that were victims of sexual abuse, the parents were oblivious to these children's pain. So while I was there, after I graduated school, I basically was hired as a state attorney's office in Orange County. And I found a passion to want to be an advocate for kids and work with kids and be a voice for kids, because it appeared that sometimes some people in their lives, whether it be law enforcement or family member or even a family parent, basically fail them. So therefore, when I was at the state attorney's office, I decided I wanted to volunteer as a guardian ad litem. I don't know if any of y'all heard of the Guardian ad litem program. Okay, the Guardian ad litem program is a child advocate program. Basically what they do is you don't have to have a college degree. No matter your age, well, you actually have to be 18. There's a lot of people 18 or older, or I would say the majority of the volunteers are older, retired people. Basically what they do is they advocate for kids. Their interest is basically solely the kids. They talk to the kids, find out what the kids need, what they want, and basically if there's something missing, they let the case manager know, and even go to court and talk on behalf of the child when the child doesn't want to speak or they're afraid to speak. Which was a really great experience. And during that time, I found out that, you know what, I don't want to deal with the criminal side of everything. I really want to deal with the child's aspect of everything. And being a voice for children and protecting them. Because, unfortunately, adults are able to fend for themselves and things like that. But these are a very vulnerable population of children. So, I decided that I would like to become a case manager. So therefore I applied for a case manager position with Community Partnership for Children. When I was hired, I gave them my resume, showed my experience as an intern, my experience at the state attorney's office in Orange County. I'm a volunteer, my work experience with homeless youth that has been thrown out of their home due to their sexual orientation or just they decided they want to be home because of their home environment or their parents got put out of their home. So I immediately got the job after I completed all the preliminaries of doing my background checks and things like that. I completed training, which is approximately about 3 months long, 40 hours a week. You get paid during the training time. And then after the training, you take a test. Once you take the test, then basically you know if you're definitely able to stay or not, because it's a state test. So basically you have, in order to have a job, you have to be able to pass the state test, which I did pass. And then you have a probation period of a year, where basically you get to get the in-field experience, having your own caseload with supervision by your supervisor and other superiors in the agency if you need assistance, and even level 4s, which is called assistant supervisor. So for the first year and a half, I was just a regular, case manager trainee, because I had to get my credentials by the state. After that year, probation year period, I became a licensed case manager, because in order for you to do child welfare, you have to be licensed by the state of Florida. During that time, after that, I would say probably about 6 months later, there was an assistant supervisor position open without agency, so I applied for it. And I got it after about a year and a half of being with the agency. So I was the assistant supervisor, I'd say, for about a little bit over 2 years. Recently, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to go back to regular case manager because I'm in grad school now. And I also have 3 children, a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 12-year-old, and they're very involved in sports and things like that. So I wanted to make sure that my life was balanced between work, something I'm very passionate about, and being able to pursue my dreams of, obtaining a master's degree and hopefully a doctorate degree. And that's about it on that part. That's exactly why I chose that career path. Do you have any questions pertaining to the work that I do? Any broad general questions or?
It's not pertaining to the work that you do, but I just have a personal question for you. I was wondering, when you were still determined to do law, did you also still want to work with children?
When I wanted to do law, I wanted to deal with the child aspect of it when I was younger, and also the criminal aspect of everything. So with my position, I'm able to still go to court every day, not basically every day, about 3 times a week, sometimes less. And I'm able to stand in front of a judge and talk about the case. And then I'm also able to go out in the field, see kids, talk with parents, talk with service providers. So therefore, I'm able to have the best of both worlds. I'm able to still be in court and able to understand the legal aspect of things. And there's times where I go to criminal court for the parents to find out what's going on in their case, or maybe to advocate on their behalf. They're really doing really well. So with this, I felt like it was a win-win situation. I was able to be in the legal aspect of everything, but also be there for children and advocate for them in that sense. So I found that very rewarding. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Anyone else has any other questions about that part? Yes.
When you first applied for the job and you got it, were you nervous?
No, I wasn't nervous at all. I knew that was something I wanted to do. After being at the state attorney's office and being able to question these kids and see what they've been through, and parents being in denial, and then after that, volunteering with the Guardian Line program in DeLand. And I work with Community Partnership for Children. So basically, Flagler, Putnam, and Volusia County, Guardian Line programs and Community Partnership for Children work together. So I came in contact with the case managers a lot in the land office, so that's where I basically served and worked with children in that side of town. So it was pretty easy. I knew that was something I wanted to do, to be on the other side of the fence instead of just advocating, be able to actually put my foot on the ground, spend more time with the children, talk to the parents, hopefully try to encourage them. Because as a victim advocate, you spend more time mainly with the child only and find out what their perspective is, what they want, what they've been through, and what you can do for them during that process. So I wanted a really even balance, and I wanted to make it more of a full-time thing instead of a part-time voluntary thing. Yes.
Do you ever get emotional when you're working?
Yes, I do get emotional sometimes. We're dealing with a vulnerable population of children. By any fault of their own, they didn't ask for their situation, they asked to be in this environment. A lot of people don't know that children in care, shelter from their parents, have 2 times the risk of PTSD. And actually, they're diagnosed 2 times more than war veterans, or people that have been in war. These are minor children. So basically, a lot of these children have mental health issues, PTSD, depression, anxiety. So basically, that's a little bit bothersome. One of these kids have to go through these things. They struggle with it. A lot of these kids also struggle with relationship issues. They're not able to form significant bonds with people, or they develop attachment disorders where they're not able to trust anyone anymore, or they don't want to be loved, or they push people away, and they sabotage yourself, and they really don't think they have a future. So that's sad, because as a case manager, you want to help them, and you're basically trying to encourage them that, you know, even though this happened to you, you know, this benefits you, and, you know, there's a lot of people there for you. Sometimes you get emotional, especially when your kids run away on your caseload, and you're worrying about them, if they're okay, did they get kidnapped, are you able to see them again? So sometimes as a case manager, that keeps you up at night, knowing that your child ran away before your shift ends, and you don't know if they're going to make it back safe or not. But I would say I have never had an issue where a child did not make it back or was not alive or something like that. So I'm looking at that aspect. Yes.
So, as like going off from what you said, like how do you like go about it when you get emotional? Like how do you go about it without like letting it get to you too much?
I have a real strong faith in God. So I've been through my own trials and tribulations in life personally. So, and I believe, I don't know about you guys, but I believe that He never puts nothing more on me than I can bear. And I'm doing it for me and for them. And it actually really more for them. So I don't let it bother me, and I'll talk about it. And our agency is really, really good as far as like supervisors or teammates or coworkers. We talk, you know, anything frustrates us, anything that bothers us, we talk about it. So it's basically like open communication. I do not let or keep anything in that aspect. So I'm able to deal with it pretty well. Yes.
I got a question about like your children.
Yes.
Do you have a certain age range when you work with kids, or do you get like all ages?
I get all ages. I get a lot of kids that come directly from the hospital. Usually those children are substance abuse exposed. So basically at birth, the mother and the child tested positive, or just the child tested positive. So I get anywhere between basically a day or two old when I'm in the hospital to basically from the time they should age out of foster care. Yes.
What was the hardest thing you had to overcome in your work source?
The hardest thing. Being able to separate work from my personal life. I think that was the hardest thing, because when you're really passionate about something and you're dealing with such a vulnerable population, you want to be there for them, but then you also have to take a step back and also realize you have a family, that you know, kids that need you as well at home. So I think that was the hardest thing, because at first, I probably worked all day, like the first year, non-stop on my cases, checking up on stuff, probably even calling placements for children and see if they were okay, see if they needed anything. Instead of me just seeing them the minimum, I would see them more often to make sure they were okay. So basically, taking a step back and being able to separate work from life, from my personal life. Okay. Well, I have my website here. Like I said, I'm employed through Community Partnership for Children. And it's pretty easy and accessible. We have right here it says ways to help, how you can donate, career opportunities. A lot of people do not know that Community Partnership for Children is a nonprofit organization. People think that our agency in DCF is one entity. We work closely together, but we have to say the agency. So basically DCF, they do the investigation part, they shelter the children and things like that, and they attend the initial shelter hearing. Once the child is sheltered, and the judge has deemed within 24 hours that the investigator found probable cause to shelter the child, within about, I'll say about 2 to 3 business days, in this case is transferred from DCF over to our agency, to case management. And during that time, typically, the case manager, the supervisor, and the program operations administrator is there for that staffing with the investigator when the case is transferred, so they can give us a little bit of history about why the case came in and how we got to this point. But one thing that they did start recently was now at shelter hearings, our agency, a supervisor or level 4 case manager, assistant supervisor, goes to the shelter hearing. So we're able to get first-hand knowledge during a shelter hearing, about what happened and what the reason why the child was here. Does that answer your question? And then we have a little bit, we have a video on our website, and I'd like to share this with you.
Let me dim the lights a little bit for us.
Stop popping up. You know, lock those.
Foster care has really impacted my life personally, but I soon realized the importance that even though a child may come to our home and only be there for a short time, in one instance we had a child with us just for 30 days, but I had 30 days to impact that child, and that child really impacted me.
I'm a foster parent because I desire to help children on their journey to healing. Foster care has showed me that there are children in need right here in our own backyard, and it gives us an opportunity to reach out to them and to look outside of myself and outside of my own need. I went into foster care thinking that I was going to help children, but in fact, they have helped me. Some people may think that being a foster parent is hard, that you have to be the perfect parent. But foster children aren't looking for perfect parents. They're looking for someone who will spend time with them and who will love them for who they are.
That's a little video from a foster parent perspective. Okay. And another thing that you guys may not realize, and as college students, as long as you're 21 or older, you're able to be a mentor for our agency for children. And mentors really help. Usually get more grad students, but as long as you're 21 years or older, you're able to pass a background check, your analysis, of course. You're able to become a mentor. So that's something that you want to do, you know, to find out a little bit more, and, you know, speak with the kids and have fun with them. That's another way you can get involved outside of, you know, working with the agency. Be able to, you know, take kids out, of course, after school hours. If they're in school, you cannot take them out or spend time with them during school hours. So basically, a mentor basically helps encourage the children, be there for them, take them places out to eat, to the movies, and do different things with them. Sometimes some of our mentors actually adopt some of the children. And most of our children that's assigned a mentor are usually teenagers. Because they're usually, you know, more having behavioral issues and things like that. They have trust issues, they have abandonment issues. So most of our children get mentors assigned to them are teenagers. Also too, we have volunteer opportunities. You can go to our website under volunteer. And they'll provide you with a number who you can contact in order to see about volunteering with our organization. Since we are a nonprofit organization, we do receive donations from the community to help assist. They help us with different things as far as like backpacks for kids and things like that in the community that we give the children that's in foster care.
Are there any age requirements to being an intern?
No, not that I'm aware of. You just have to be 18 years of age or older, and be able to pass the background check.
What are some of the personality traits and characteristics that you think would make a strong candidate in your field?
You have to be someone that's really hardworking, very, very hardworking, and very motivated. And it has to be very, I would say, organized. A very successful case manager is typically very organized. That's a lot of what we do is organizing. You have to be able to juggle court hearings, staffings, meetings, home visits, parent contacts, and then emergencies that may appear. So being able to organize your week, your month is very critical in what we do, because we have a lot of deadlines. We have basically federal and state guidelines that we have to adhere to. So basically we have to be able to see kids in a timely manner. We have to be able to type up a very lengthy report and have it to legal in a timely manner to provide to the court for a court hearing. So being able to juggle all those things and then be able to attend staffings and meetings, and sometimes, a lot of times, a lot of stuff overlaps. So for case managers, sometimes you might be in court waiting for court hearings to be called, but I'm in the hallway of the courtroom on a meeting, on a conference call, concerning one of my kids or things like that. Or sometimes I'll be driving in my car with my Bluetooth on, of course, participating in the meeting. So being able to do all those things of multitasking and being able to stay organized and not losing track of what you need to do in a timely manner. So being organized is a really, so I would say a little bit of OCD in that aspect, being able to organize, stay on task. If you're goal-oriented, you like to have goals and set goals for yourself, that would be a really good characteristic for anyone that's looking to go into case management. Someone that loves working with children, and has patience, because you have to have patience with our children. So patience is a big one. Being able to deal with irate parents and children, being able to not get agitated easily or upset easily, because you're confronted with, upset parents, of course. They've been through something, they had a child removed through something that they did, possibly. So a lot of a lot of parents blame everyone but themselves, or they felt like they didn't do anything. It was DCF, or was a person that called an abuse report, or was a case manager that was not even part of the investigation, that the reason why their families were falling apart. So you have parents sometimes that will curse at you, will yell at you, will call you names. So you have to have a really thick skin. It doesn't bother me at all. Usually I'm really nice, I'm really polite when a parent gets upset or irate. I usually speak a little bit slower. Speak a little slower, speak a little quieter, lower my voice a little bit to calm them down. If that doesn't work, I'll redirect them, let them know their behaviors are inappropriate. I ask them to give me the same respect I'm giving them. For the most part, they usually is pretty good. If not, then I would let them know I'm leaving. And sometimes they'll be like, okay, never mind. And they turn around and hold tight 360. So being able to hold your composure is a really good thing. And being able to be faced with hostile environments and being able to control that environment and not let them get the best of you, no matter what, even when it comes to kids. So that's another one.
Do You ever have to bring any protection with you, like a mace or a taser or something? Or are you prohibited from bringing those things with you?
Unfortunately, due to having to work with kids, we're not able to bring knives, tasers, guns, or anything like that in our profession. That's prohibited. So for protection, and because of what we do, we usually get a background of the people that we're dealing with. So if we're dealing with a parent that has a valid tendencies, they're really aggressive, they're impulsive, and things of that nature. Usually no, we do background checks with CPI, will let us know a little bit. We look up their criminal background history, various ways. And if need be, I will call law enforcement, and I will have law enforcement accompany me to meet with the parent. So if I feel in any type of way that this parent might be a danger, or they might be hostile, or I just don't trust, and I really want to get a chance to know them, and I just want to add protection for myself, I'll bring somebody that's licensed to carry a gun with me, and and I let the parent know, I want you to meet me at this place at this certain time, and usually me and law enforcement will be already waiting. Parents don't like it, but I let them know. Fortunately, due to circumstances, but if you're able to demonstrate that you're able to control yourself in a decent manner, then of course next time I won't have to. So that's one thing I do. Another thing that I do as well is I also meet parents at police stations sometimes if they have a violent history or they're hostile, they might threaten me. I meet them at police stations. You have a question? Go ahead.
Okay, so you say you talk to other students or kids. So are they always in foster or do they be at home?
Our children, there's 3 categories in which, or 4. Children can be placed with non-relatives or relatives out of state, which is considered an ICPC. Basically, we have to get a court order asking the court in the state of Florida if we can place a child in another state either with a relative or a non-relative. So they can be placed out of state. In those cases, the case manager is tasked with the responsibility or someone else from the agency of flying that child to that state. If not, some relatives and non-relatives are willing to fly into the state of Florida and pick up the child. But as a case manager, I've been doing this for several years. I've probably only flown out about 2 times since I've been a case manager. So it doesn't really happen that often of having to fly out. Most of the time, the relatives and non-relatives are willing to come to the state of Florida and pick up the kids themselves. And then we also have foster care. Foster care can be in a traditional home setting, meaning like any couple, a single parent, whomever, can basically decide they want to have children in their home that has been sheltered from their parents. And then we also have group home facilities, where they're like regular traditional homes, where there's like 1 or 2 staff members. And typically in group home settings, it's usually teenagers. That has a little bit more freedom to do things that they want out of the community, but they have curfews, of course. And then we have really big group home facilities where children, where basically they have like cottages. It kind of looks like a little college campus, basically, where they have like more than 1 cottage, where children they have like house parents, they have kitchens there, they have their own washing machine, things like that. They have their own gym, school on campus, recreation center, everything on these group home facilities. And then also we can place children with another parent, not a family parent. Sometimes children might be with mom, and the child was removed from mom. But if we can locate the dad within a certain period of time, the investigator might place the children with the other parent, like the dad. So if the dad's in state, the CPI can do it immediately. If the father's out of state, then once the case gets transferred over to case management, then typically we will submit a request to the court asking that we be able to request a home study on another parent out of state. And then either that parent, of course, comes to the state of Florida and pick up their child, or we drop the child to the parent. But I would say for the most part, those are pretty much. Sometimes we have grandparents and aunties and uncles, but of course those are relatives. And sometimes we have some parents, their friends might want the child, so that's considered non-relatives. Yes.
What about the godparents?
Typically, I have never dealt with godparents having the children. That is an option, because once a child is sheltered or removed from a parent, they're typically asked, is there anyone you want your child placed with? So parents are given the opportunity to provide names of a friend, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandparent, in-state, out-of-state, that they want their child placed with. A lot of parents don't want to provide any names or don't want to give us that information because they don't want their family members to know that their child was removed or they're embarrassed about the whole entire situation. But godparent would be considered a non-relative. So basically it's up to the parent or the non-relative to come forward and be like, okay, I want this child. Or even sometimes a child say, you know, I want to go with this aunt or this uncle. And we'll reach out to that aunt or that uncle to have that child placed with. We prefer a child to be with a non-relative or a relative or someone they know. Some of our children have the option of even asking their teachers. We have kids that have gotten adopted by like their teachers and things like that. So we have different options. Sometimes a lot of our children find their own placements as far as like non-relative, relatives, or even adoption placement.
What happens when you take a child from the home and you realize that child has some mental health or substance use issues or like a long juvenile record? Do they still get placed in foster care? Do they go to special facilities?
It really depends. For infants, and usually typically for children under the age of 5, at the shelter hearings when the child is removed and there's a hearing held within 24 hours, the judge typically in the state usually asks for a Part C evaluation where that assessor usually evaluates the child to see if there's any delays or anything like that that can affect the child's development going forward, such as their substance abuse exposed. So basically, at that time, if they do find something, they'll make additional referrals to other providers, whether it's a speech therapist or physical therapist and things like that to help the child with their delays or their issues that they may have. As far as behavioral, if a child has behavioral issues, usually we ask for like a psychiatric evaluation or psychological evaluation. From different providers like Halifax Behavioral Services or Deborah, they do psychological or even a private provider, approved private provider will get evaluation completed and then they'll determine what type of services they need. If they say they need additional services, we'll get a thing called a suitability assessment completed. And that's when that assessor evaluates if that child can stay in a traditional foster home or if they can be placed in a group home setting. If not, there's 2 placements they can go into. It's called an SCGH, a special therapeutic group home facility, where they have like a psychiatrist on site, a therapist on site, more than one house parent on site. They have like a lot of therapeutic services there to cater to the child's behavioral and mental health needs. And then we have a higher level of care, which is a SIP placement, a statewide program. Basically, it's more of a lockdown facility. They have the same things, but it's at a much higher level with more staff available to the child because usually they harm, self-harm or they harm others. So they're in a more controlled environment. So it really depends. And usually for those 2 placements, like a SCGH or a SIP placement, usually those are court-ordered placements. So we cannot just place a child in those type of placements. They have to go through several different processes. They have to be able to show that they have like a behavioral problem, a severe behavioral, mental health problem, and the assessor, licensed assessor has to basically recommend it. Provide that information to the court. Court hearing is typically set. The guardian ad litem is there to advocate on behalf of the child if they agree with that recommendation or not. The case manager is also there to state if they recommend with that recommendation or not for the assessor. And the judge also, depending on the child's age, also asks the child, do they understand why they were recommended for that, and if that's what they want, if they're okay with that. And at that time, the judge will order them to go there. So those 2 placements are not a place where we can just place them there. Those are 2 placements where we actually need a court order.
So if I'm a student, I'm a freshman or sophomore in college, I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do. How do I prepare to get a job in a field like this right out of undergrad? Let's say I don't want to go straight into graduate school. How much money am I going to make? Can I make a decent living? Can I support my family? What are some of those details?
I would say intern. I definitely interned when I was in college. I know when I was going to college, a lot of my peers like, I'm not interning, I'm not working for nobody for free. But most of them wasn't able to obtain a job right after college. So they basically got a 4-year degree with basically no job afterwards. So a lot of jobs look for basically some experience. So interning, I would suggest, is the best way to go as far as trying to gain some experience. And sometimes even through those internships, if you're there for a while, you can even get hired. Or sometimes you can start off like as a regular, like a gym support worker, what we have, where you basically help assist with transporting kids and so forth, which you don't need a 4-year degree with, you need like a high school diploma. And you're able to transport children, you're able to help us make referrals and things like that. And then once you finish and you obtain a 4-year degree, while you're already working with the agency, you can apply for a case manager position. So basically you go through the training, you go basically from a support level employee to a training, a case manager training. We go through 3 months of training, and then you take the test and you become a case manager. So that's another way that you can do things. So not necessarily you can get your experience from just interning. You can be a family support worker with our agency and get like that first-hand knowledge, experience, and being able to be, and also too, our family support workers are also a big intricate part of what we do because they supervise parent visits with children. So I might ask, how's the parent doing? How's the behavior? Have you seen any changes? And then also too, they're able to see if the parents still using. They're able to see if they have track marks on their arm. They're able to tell if they're acting irate, if they're falling over, they're not able to stay up on visits. So they're able to report a lot of vital information. So you're able to get that first-hand experience of how parents act. And I would say, for the most part, parents are really good without any support workers. So there's no issues at all with that aspect. The pay. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe family support workers typically make anywhere between $24,000 to $27,000 a year. Sorry about that. And but they also get paid for travel as well, for their travel expenses, for traveling. Case manager training, when you're in training. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they get paid about 30 or 34. Let me just double check. Just bear with me. Okay, well, these are some positions that we do have available, and also you see internships are available too. So a case manager trainee gets paid $28,000 a year.
So you need a bachelor's degree for that?
Yes, you definitely need a bachelor's degree for that. But once you,
The bachelor's has to be in psychology, or can it be in sociology or social work?
we have basically, I have coworkers that have bachelor's degree in law, pre-law, psychology, sociology, education, business. So we have a lot of people that have different degrees in different areas, not only psychology or sociology. So you don't have to have just a degree in psychology or sociology.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're a level 3 case manager, your salary is $37,000 a year. Level 4 assistant supervisor, which is a level 4, their salary is about $41,000 a year. And supervisor, their salary is about $44,000 a year. As you go up, it's a lot more, 55 and so forth, as you go up. So that's the breakdown of that. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, family support workers make about $24,000 base pay.
What about the ratio of males to females? Is it predominantly women in the field? Are there men?
In our field, it's predominantly women. We would love more men, because we love women too, of course. But with some of our male youth, I think they respect sometimes a little bit of the authority, and they feel like they can relate more with the male. So like I know like some of my male children on my caseload, when it comes to doctor's appointments or they have like a health issue, they're pretty scared to tell me. They're like, you don't understand. Which I know. So they're scared to discuss what issues they may have with their health with me. But I found that a lot of male employees, the male youth, will open up as far as like any social issues, peer pressure issues they may having, or any personal hygiene issues they may having. They're more open to disclosing that to male staff as opposed to female staff. When it comes to female youth, I don't have a problem. They'll tell me about their boyfriends, everything. They'll tell me about all their medical problems, even ones I don't even want to know about. But that's pretty good, but I'll say the majority of our staff is female. Males, I really recommend. And I think some of the males also like working there, being a few men around. Yes, you had a question?
What's your most memorable case?
My most memorable case. Wow, that's hard. I have a lot of them. I had a child recently, this year, May, that graduated from high school. He had a very difficult time. He was giving his father a very difficult, a hard time at home. And he was not going to school, he was cutting school, he didn't care, he was just committing crimes left and right. He had a previous case manager before me. It wasn't working, so they decided, okay, I'm good with teenagers, they decided to assign him to me. Within a few months period of time, he changed around. He started, not staying out of trouble. He was on probation too, not to remind you. And he had a substance abuse issue as well. So I got him into services, substance abuse treatment. I spent quality time with him. I spoke with him, I encouraged him, I let him know the pros and cons about his actions. And also as case managers, well for me, sometimes I take some of my children out to eat. Like if I have to pick them up from court or things like that, I pick them up a little early, and I take them to like one of their favorite restaurants, whether it be a sushi restaurant or a wing place or whatever the case may be. Sometimes I pick them up and I take them out to eat, spend quality time with them, figure out what's going on in their lives.
Do you get a stipend for that, or is that your own money?
No, we actually get reimbursed.
Okay.
So when we spend the money on like taking kids out to eat and things like that, or if they might need emergency clothes or whatever the case may be, we get reimbursed for that. And it's up to you as a case manager to make sure you return in those receipts for those activities that you may engage in with those children. So don't think at all that you're responsible for taking these kids out to eat and all those other things. No. The agency and the state will definitely reimburse you for the cost of doing those things with those kids. So I did spend quality time with him and really encouraging him in doing the right thing and trying to figure out what his perspective was. And with him it was a little bit different because of his culture. So his culture and how he was raised in his family was a little bit different. So being able to get through to his father and being able to talk to him and then the counselors coming in, it helps a little bit of us understanding who they are and not changing who they are, but then the father understanding that his son was born in America, had parents, and he struggled with the identity issue of his culture, where his father was from, and also being a citizen, being born in the United States and kids his father. So we had to have that discussion, or I had to have that discussion with the father, so their relationship could be, they could have a better relationship. So the youth decided that he wanted to go into the military. He made a decision on his own to go into military school, and he obtained his GED. He graduated. Even though he was 18 and I didn't have to attend, his father and the youth decided they wanted to invite him to his graduation. So that was a really rewarding moment for me because I was able to actually get through to one of my youths. I've gotten through to a lot of them, but I was able to get through to one of the students, and I was able to be a part of something that was big for him. Being able to get his GED, and then he signed up for the military. So basically his father's from serving the military right out of high school is something that they just do. So basically that's something that basically he went on to do, and he said he's going to go to college. And he would keep updated, and let me know how things are going. So I was very happy that him and his father felt that my job and my effort was worth the while, that they wanted me to be part of something that I didn't have to be part of because he's an aged out, he was an adult, and my case is closed. Because as case managers, we're not allowed to reach out and check on the youth or check on the parents at all. Once our case is closed, our case is closed. Now, if they call us,
So you couldn't call him if you wanted to, or just?
So why do you, so you connect with your child for so long and then once they go, you just have to forget about it?
no, they can call us. Like, I have some parents, or because some people just don't want you to be in their lives. Like, you have some parents, when they get their child back, they have like this attitude towards the system. They don't want you in their life anymore. So you have to respect that and don't cross that boundaries of going into a territory that you should not be into. You have to be able to separate. Because if you get attached to kids or you help out, you can't be a part of every single child's life that you've been a part of. So in order for you to be effective in the next child's life that you're a case manager for, you have to be able to separate that. Because if you have, I'll say I've had a lot of kids that has gone on to be adopted, went back home with their parents, etc. That's a whole entire lot. So if I maintain communication with all those caregivers, all those children, by me calling and checking on them, that would be a lot. So they do that so you're able to be effective in your job. But these children and their parents are able to still communicate with us. You know, like, oh, this happens. I have some foster parents and some children sends me pictures of their birthday party or when they graduate from college and things like that. So that's pretty rewarding. Or their Christmas. Sometimes they invite me to little birthday parties. So for the most part, I probably only attended probably like 1 or 2. I'm pretty busy. So I usually actually, you know, like FaceTime me or something like that. And I might say happy birthday during the birthday party. I'm like, sorry, I cannot attend, but you FaceTime if you have an iPhone, I'll be able to say happy birthday, whatever the case may be. But no, but they do send us pictures and sometimes you can go. Yes.
Have you had a case, I know a child that was kind of like bad, but I know a child that was taken from their mother and was placed in foster care. And then when the mother got clean and was out of jail, they put him back with his mother, and the mother ended up killing her child. Have you had a case like that before?
I'm lucky to say no. No. There's a lot of circumstances because the parents can be doing extremely well when you reunify. And you try as a case manager with other service providers to make the best decision on behalf of the children. So not only does the case manager make the decision to reunify, counselors do, psychiatrists do, our legal team do, upper management do, the child helps make the decision, and also, like I said, the Guardian Life program, advocates. And sometimes some of these children, unfortunately, and I have to explain to these children, because some of these children, no matter if their parent has a substance abuse issue, if their parents physically abuse them, if their parents are homeless, they do not care. Some children, they would want to be with their parents regardless. And so having to talk to them and let them know, I understand your love for your mom, your dad is unconditional, but I cannot risk your life because of your emotions. And it's hard because they're crying, I want to go home with my mom now, I love my mom, I miss my mom misses me. But as a case manager, you're tasked with being able to, with having to place a child's safety and well-being when it's basically visible or you have some concerns over their emotions, if that makes any sense. Which it might be hard because of course you don't want to see a kid cry or go through any emotional trauma, but we have to choose their safety. Because it goes the same thing with removal. CPI, the case managers do not like removing children. But unfortunately we have to, because we have to choose their safety over their emotions. So you have kids crying, kicking, wanting to be with their parents, they don't understand why they're being removed, but unfortunately like I said, we have to choose their safety over their emotions. So it goes the same thing with having to make that decision of not allowing the parents' emotions. Some parents get real emotional. I love my kids, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and the kids like, I want to go back home with their parents. So we have to be able to go through everything, assess everything, talk to service providers, find out how they think the parents are doing, really assess. Sometimes I pop up on parents, unfortunately. I pop up on them if I'm in the area, even if it's on my off day. If I'm in the area and I'm by a parent's home, I might just pop over to see what their life is like. Sometimes I pop over a parent's house. They had clean UAs for a whole entire year. I pop over a parent's house, and next thing I find beer containers in their recycling bin. Or they having a big blown out party with people drinking and things like that. So pop-ups is really essential to find out exactly what their routine is like when they think you're not working. So I do that. Or even at nighttime, if I'm going to the grocery store or out in the area to a friend's house before I go there, I might stop over to that parent's house if I'm on my way and see them, you know, in my, within the direction in which I'm going. It's not out of my way. But it's, you can never 100% really, you do our best, but it's not 100% when you know that a child is completely, the parent is okay. We try to assess. And there's different tools that we use to assess. We try to figure out what they've learned. We try to demonstrate behavior change, cognitive change, and things like that to really determine what the parent is. I would say the hardest thing with our parents, they're very manipulative. When I say manipulative, our parents are very manipulative, especially the ones that have substance abuse problems. They're manipulative. So, and that's what I try to watch out for, because sometimes they might paint this picture with service providers and with you that everything is perfect, they're doing everything they need to do, they're making the changes they need to make. But then you have to, like, people as a case manager ask them questions, what if? And then ask them the question, or pop up. You know, so basically you as a case manager, you have to be really diligent to really assess if what they're presenting is really what it is. To ensure that if you return the child back to home to the parents, that hopefully you're making the best decision on behalf of the child. But I've never come across that situation.
So would that be like with, you know, him being basically murdered by the mother, would that be like like the case manager's fault, or?
No, it will not be the case manager's fault because, like I said, no decision is made solely on the case manager. When we come to a conclusion as far as reunifying the child with a parent, we have staffing, we have meetings multiple times before we get to that point. We have critical juncture staffing where we feel like, okay, the parent is moving along and so forth. Like I said, like whether it be a counselor, whomever, we get their opinion of what they feel as from their aspect, how they feel their parents do. So we take all that information to make a decision if we feel that child should be returned home. And I know there was one case on the news where the foster parents was like, oh, that child should never have went back home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We also take that into consideration, but at the same time, some foster parents get attached to children and they don't want the children to go back home. No matter if the parents change or not, they just do not want that child to go back home. They fall in love with that child and they want that child with them. So we really try to do our best to try to assess with everything that's given if the child can safely remain and go back home. And like I said, the judge has to sign off on it. That's the last signature. So no child can go back home unless the judge signs off on that order. Yes. I think she had her hand up first. Sorry.
My question was, when you guys go to get a child, does the parent ever like try to make you guys not take them?
Well, if I know I'm going to shelter a child, I always have law enforcement with me, first and foremost. So law enforcement is there to control the parent and just being the child. Depending on the child's age and their resistance and their mental health, then I might determine if I might need to bring another case manager out with me, or my supervisor might need to come out with me, or assistant supervisor might need to come out with me. But typically, just in case, especially if I know a parent has like an aggressive problem, or I look at the criminal history and I see that they can be very aggressive, Most times, if I think I'm gonna remove a kid or I know I'm gonna remove a kid, I'm bringing law enforcement with me. I'm not taking the chance, not with it.
You go ahead.
I was gonna ask a quick question. How long have you been doing this for?
A little bit over 4.5 years. Does anyone else have any other questions?
And are you allowed to foster care or adopt?
Yes, as a case manager, I am able to foster care and adopt, but I'm not able to foster care or adopt any children on my caseload. So typically, it would have to be like a different area where I don't know nothing about that child, or like, for example, if it's for my area, like for my friends. My kids, for example, have friends that's going to be sheltered. And my kids might be saying, you know what, Mom, instead of my friend going to foster care, can my friend come over to the house? Then yeah, I can have that child placed in the home with me as a case manager. Or I might have a cousin in a different state that might have their child removed. They can do a home study with me in the state of Florida, and I can have that child from another state come with me in the state of Florida. Or typically, I would say most case managers, if they do want to adopt, sometimes they adopt out of another county. So it won't be a conflict, because some parents feel like you want their child. And very few case managers actually adopt. But never from their caseload. Even if a kid wants you to, we still don't adopt from our caseload or typically.
Do you get to choose what child you want to adopt, or you have to take what they?
It goes both ways. The kid gets to choose depending on their age, and the adult gets to choose. So before we go, because it's a permanent thing. So basically, once a person adopts, the same legal rights a biological child has to that person, the adoptive child has. And we want to make sure that the child feels comfortable with it, especially if they're able to articulate. So we do usually like a transition plan with them, where they're able to, like go out during the day, on the weekends for a couple of hours, and sometimes do a weekend. If it's during the summer break, sometimes they can spend like 2 weeks with the person, or maybe a month with the person. It depends. So we do transition plans. And then the child feels safe, like that's something I really, really want. I love this family. I want to be part of that family. And the pre-adopted family wants to adopt, then we'll go ahead with adoption. But we allow both of them. So the adopted family is like, I would really want to adopt, and that child says no, it's no. If the child says they want, and the pre-adopted family says otherwise, it's just no. So both of them have to agree, especially if the child is able to articulate their desires, that that's something they want to do. Because we don't want to force no one to do something they don't want to do. Now, babies, on the other hand, like I said, they're not the age where they're able to articulate what they want. So basically, our agency and the Guardian Line program, people basically decide if it's a fit. Anyone else have any other questions? Okay.
Okay. Well, let's give Ms. Kim Jackson a So, just a reminder that, where do we meet next week? In the chapel. We have a really big guest coming, so make sure that you're there. You'll get a ticket when you enter, and you have to fill out the ticket and turn it in to one of the faculty or staff that are standing by the exit so that your attendance can be checked. Okay? All right. Any questions before I let you go? All right, you guys have a safe weekend. I'll see you Monday. Next week.
Because I have to say, I'm next.